Hello, 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 and welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. This recording is designed especially for educators like you to get some back to school ideas with generative AI. We are just going to dive right in. I'm Michelle Armstrong. I'm based in Calgary. I'm the director of events at Logix Academy. We couldn't do what we do without our whole team of consultants, one of which is with me here today, Danny Leeming. Introduce yourself.
Hey folks, I'm Danny Leeming. I'm a teacher, librarian, and technology integration specialist coming to you from Castlegar, BC in the beautiful Kootenay region of British Columbia. Like Michelle said, I'm a Logix Academy facilitator and excited to be coming to you for this session today.
Fabulous. We're going to talk a little bit more about all of our Logix facilitators. The ideas in this session have come from them, so that's pretty awesome. So why don't we get started? Those of you watching right now, you can either scan that QR code or there's a bit.ly link there that's going to get you to this slide deck. There are a lot of prompts coming up in this presentation, and if you have this slide deck open, you'll just be able to copy, paste those prompts, and away you'll go. So definitely grab yourself a copy of this, have it open so that you can follow along. We could not do what we do without this lady, Sandy Curry from Google Canada. Sandy is the Gen AI for Educators project manager. So her goal is to help Canadian educators learn how they can harness the power of generative AI. So thank you, Sandy, for supporting all of this work we do. The cool thing, not only is Sandy providing support for us to have this public-facing workshop, you and your school board can have a custom virtual webinar or workshop on AI foundations. We can help support your initiatives in your school board. If you think that's something that either you or your school board is interested in, take a look at the link that's on this page here. Danny's also, I think, going to put that up on a banner. Scan that QR code. This is a district level opportunity. So if someone at your district level wants to bring us in virtually, maybe it's a PD day, maybe you want something recorded like this, we can do that for you at no cost to your school board. So pretty cool initiative. Thank you again, Sandy Curry and Google Canada. Be sure to take advantage of that. All right. Something that we want to make sure that you know, this is a session about how educators can use generative AI. This is not a Gemini session. You're going to see that the prompts that we're going to be testing out, we might be using Gemini, ChatGPT, Copilot. So Sandy just wants you to know this is more general foundations and not any sort of sales pitch, if you will. Be sure that you know what approved platforms are at your board, who's allowed to have access, all of that good stuff. But just make sure that you know the tools you're allowed to be using before you dive in. And of course, always, we want to make sure privacy and security first. We're going to be reminding you throughout, we don't want to be prompting using student information, etc. But just keep that in mind as we move forward. All right. Well, who is Logix Academy? If you've just stumbled upon us, we're glad you're here. We are Canada's lead STEM education provider, and we are PD partners to not only Google, but Microsoft, Minecraft, Apple, Canva is in there now. There's a bunch of others, but we get to bring training to you at no cost, thanks to our partners. Not only do we do workshops like this, we also run a whole host of co-taught lessons where we're going to beam into your classroom and teach your students with you. Keep an eye on our events calendar. There's going to be a whole bunch coming up for back to school. Wow, that's a lot of talking from me. We're gonna get over to you as well soon. So what are we gonna do today? We're gonna take a look at the Google's Generative AI for Educators course. Everything we're gonna talk about today, the foundations of everything we're doing, we got from this incredible course. So we're gonna make sure you take a look at that course. Then we are gonna spend most of the time checking out different prompts for awesome back to school ideas, hopefully that are going to help you out for back to school. With that, we're going to start. Even though we don't have a chat or anything, we just want you to consider, how comfortable are you with generative AI? And we've got a list here for you. We're going to put this list full screen just so you can take a look. There's a lot of words on there. But just ask yourself, how comfortable are you with generative AI? And have no fear. This workshop is designed for all of you, whether you're a 1, like really timid, or all the way even up to a 5, extremely comfortable. Danny, if we go back to you, where would you say you fall on this comfort level with Gen AI?
I was just trying to rank myself as you were chatting, and I was like, oh, I'm probably a 5, but then I'm like, actually, I don't think I am a 5. Like, I think I'm between probably a 4 and a 5. Like, I'm still very much playing with ideas, and I'm not sure. Like, sometimes it works great, and sometimes it sort of doesn't do what I want it to do, and I'm still trying to find that I'm still in that exploration space where I'm trying to figure out where it's going to fit my practice the best.
Yeah, and it's just changing so fast that it's hard to keep up. And so, yep, absolutely. All right, so out there, just get a sense for kind of where you are, and don't worry, we're gonna have something for everyone, and we're gonna come back and look at this list a little closer in a minute as well. Keep in mind, I mentioned it earlier, be sure you are aware of what the district approved tools are. If you're not sure, make sure to ask, but that's just constant reminder for you all. So this course that we were referring to, some of you may have even taken this course. It's an asynchronous course. It'll take you about maybe 2 hours to complete, but it's the foundational knowledge that you get inside this course, and a whole bunch of different prompts that you can try that are going to inspire new ideas for you. It's an incredible course. Danny, have you taken the course?
Yeah, for sure. It's I appreciate that. Like you're saying, it's not tied to one tool. So it's an agnostic experience for educators. Google's done a really nice job designing something that's like, if you're, what platforms your district has, it's going to have valuable tools and information and thinking for wherever you happen to land in your district or in your own life, as it turns out.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. So when we are going to give you a chance to get yourself logged in. You're going to see a get started, and then you're going to see a login button. You can use, if you have a school Google account, you can go ahead and use that school Google account. If you're a Microsoft district, maybe you have a personal Gmail you can use. But yeah, that's the only sort of Google thing about this, is that you do need a Google account to log in. But we're going to give you a second to get yourself logged in, and then we're going to take a little bit of a tour. So this is where, if you want to pause right now, jump into that course. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll dive into that course. All right, so we are back. Hopefully you are in the course right now. We're just going to spend a tiny bit of time. I'm going to highlight a couple of things for you, and then we're going to jump into prompting. So Danny, can you just jump over to my screen? Let me make sure I'm on the right page. We are going to go to the Gen AI for Educators course. Here we are. So what we did, we went get started. I'll make that a little easier for you to see. So we went get started, and then up in the top right corner, I would have gone login, and so I'm currently logged in. The couple things I want to highlight. So it's really well laid out. Over on the left-hand side, there are those 3 lines that kind of you can toggle through there to see some other resources. There is a pre-survey. Whoops, looks like I didn't do the pre-survey, because it tracks your progress. So you'll see I've completed part 1 in the introduction. Sneaker me. I cheated a bit, fast forwarded. I didn't complete every single activity in the introduction. But let's dive into, we're going to go let's go into investigate the potential of AI in your practice. The reason I want to show you this, the design of the course is the same all the way through. There's information that you're going to learn. So they spend some time teaching you some information. Then they give you an opportunity to try specific things. You'll notice there's check marks on all of these sections. I've tried each of those. So it tells me, oh yeah, you're done. But now I go down here, if I see a plus, it means, hey, wait, you haven't looked at this yet. So I'm going to go into this. There's a lot of these drop downs. They give you information. They set the stage. Then they give some more information. They kind of show you how to do things. And then they give you the prompts. This is the part I love most about this course. They give you prompts where we can copy and paste this over to Gemini, Copilot, ChatGPT. And as you see, you go on and on and on. And then it gives you this opportunity. Make sure you're critically thinking about the results of your prompt. How might we iterate on the prompts? But overall, that's basically the design of the course and the way it functions. Danny, do you have any other sort of general points on kind of what struck you as interesting in the course?
I think as a teacher, when you're coming to a new tool like generative AI, you're probably just putting in the thing that you need and sort of working it, going with it, and then moving on to the next thing, because our plates are full. And I think the course is an opportunity to like sort of go slow in that you're going to watch what happens with a simpler prompt, and then what the importance of adding details and all the different structures that we're going to talk about in a bit. You get to sort of see what the impact is on better prompt writing by using those sort of given prompts. And that really does make impactful learning for the teacher to be like, whoa, I got to take 2 minutes here instead of 1 minute to type this prompt, because the results are going to be way better if I'm designing this a little bit more thoughtfully.
Yeah, exactly. And so today, we're going to take the learnings from this course, specifically this section here, how to write an effective AI prompt. We're going to dive into the guts of this section, and then we're going to use that prompting knowledge to create back to school activities. But we encourage you, come back to this course, because there's so much more in here about differentiation, responsible use of AI. This whole section is great and so important. We're not going to have time to go into AI tools and the responsible use of them, planning for next steps. And the cool thing, this end of course assessment, there's a certificate that you can get, a little quiz you do, get that certificate. Some districts even incentivize, if you've done this course and have your certificate. I know of districts that have a prize draw or things like that. So check with your district to see if there are any incentives for that. All right, let's go back to the slide deck, Danny. Beautiful. So definitely check out the rest of the course. Moving forward, we, like I said, are going to start doing some prompting. The course is set up. It spends some time to learn things, to talk a little bit, which I've been talking too much. Then it encourages you to try out certain prompts. And then most importantly, that thinking critically, that iteration on your prompt, that human in the loop. I need to be a part of, critically thinking about the results. That's how the course is set up, and that's how we're going to set up our prompting for today as well. So we did that quick tour. Oh yes, we talked about this certificate, and now we get into prompt engineering. First of all, this is where, Danny, I think I'm going to get you to speak a little bit about this. Like, it feels a bit confusing. Like, do I use Gemini? Do I use ChatGPT? Do I use Copilot? And then there's like education versions, and there's other stuff out there. Danny, what advice do you have for educators and which tool they might choose and why?
I think if you're a Microsoft district, you should probably be using Copilot as your default in your district. If you're a Google district and your students are using Chromebooks, you're probably going to be defaulting to Gemini. ChatGPT, if your district has it approved, I think that's a that's a question for your principal IT department, as sort of like, where is my data already shared with permission? So if your students are using Chromebooks, they've signed off on privacy to use those Chromebooks, which means Gemini is part of that service package of tools. Copilot would be the same with Microsoft. Functionality wise, they've all got their own little quirks and different things, but essentially they're all kind of sort of matching each other's functionality piece by piece. Like Gemini might get a new feature that Copilot doesn't have, but in a matter of weeks, they're all trying to play innovation and catch up with each other. They're all getting to the same place at slightly different speeds. So I also would think, like, as a teacher, where does your stuff live? Like, I'm a Google person. Like, I use a lot of Google stuff in my teaching. So like Gemini makes the transition really easy because all my stuff can just link right into my Gemini account. Whereas if I have to go to Copilot, I've got to download a doc file and do that sort of translation piece. So I was thinking, like, what am I approved for in my district, and where does my teaching life live?
Yeah. Yeah, those are super important points. And then the one thing, and you mentioned it, yet I want to make sure to specify, if you're using the education version of Gemini, the education version of Copilot, that data does not go out into the ether and train those models. It stays in-house within, basically within your district. That being said, ChatGPT, if you're using that, you're training ChatGPT, and your information is kind of going out there into the ether.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I feel comfortable with that because I know I'm not putting any personal information in there, yet just be very aware of kind of where your data is going. So
yeah,
awesome.
I don't know, like ChatGPT doesn't have its own education platform, right?
Yeah.
So it's like statistically you're probably a Copilot or a Gemini district.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, makes sense. Okay. One of the greatest things inside the course for me was learning how to be so thoughtful about my prompting. And the course mentions this acronym PARTS. So anytime we're doing any prompting, we want to think about the persona. Who am I? The aim. What's my goal? What do I want to do? We want to know who the recipients are going to be. So P.A.R. What's the theme? So your style, the tone, and then of course the structure. What do you want it to look like? I want a bulleted list. I want a poster. So P.A.R.T.S. I encourage you, if you all just want to even take a screenshot of this right now, have this over on the side whenever you're starting to do prompting. It's going to be super, super useful. So parts: persona, aim, recipients, theme, structure. And this is where I want to go back to that list that we gave you when you were assessing your comfort level with AI. Of course, I use Gen AI to build this for me, but this is where I wanted to be so thoughtful about my prompt. So here's where we see parts. Red, persona, educational technologist. Aim, I want a list of questions. Ooh, my recipients are those teachers. My theme is I statements. And now you see it doesn't have to necessarily be in order. And then the structure is a bulleted list. So keep this in mind as we're looking at our prompts. We're really trying to do a great job of specifying all the parts. Any other comments on other acronyms or things, Danny, that you've seen?
Depending on the model you're using, you can go like teacher, grade level, but also like jurisdiction and curriculum too,
Right.
like adding that next level of detail. Like, I am a social studies teacher from British Columbia, teaching like specific coursework, and then it's going to drill down on the specific curriculum, especially with the like new Gemini, new Copilot, those models.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Okay, this is it. This is where we're going to dive in. We're going to be doing a lot of prompting. We're going to be giving you a bunch of ideas. No matter what idea we give you, no matter what you put in that prompt engine, be sure to consider parts. Look closely and carefully. What kind of bias might there be in that response? definitely you'll want to reprompt, iterate, and then we said it before, this human in the loop. You need to be critically analyzing what's coming out of AI, and we need to teach our students this. We kind of like to say prompting and pasting is a problem. You can't just prompt and paste. We got to really be thinking about that. Sweetness. Well, here we go. Our back to school ideas. We have put together 6 sets of back to school ideas for you. Each of them, I think, has at least 5 or 6 different prompts, and they follow the themes that we find inside the course. So we're going to be talking about each of these 6 themes. We're going to give you prompt ideas, and hopefully it'll spark even more ideas as we go along. So here we go. Number 1, lesson plans and activities. By the way, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. A lot of these ideas have come directly from the facilitators on our Logix Academy team. Guys like Danny and other tech coaches, curriculum experts from all across Canada. These are their ideas that they are giving that they think will be beneficial to you. So, number 1, this is where you've got that slide deck handy. If you want to copy and paste the prompts, see what kind of results you get, awesome. Definitely modify it. If you're not a grade 10 social studies teacher, maybe you'll change it to something else. But this one here is what is a list of 10 get to know you questions appropriate for grade 10 students. Keep the tone fun and light. Provide a list as a Google Doc so I can create a copy for each of my students in Google Drive. So this was a prompt that I put into Gemini. Danny, maybe let's jump over to my Gemini. I'm going to share that instead. And so we're just going to give you an example of what my output was. Oh, where'd it go? I closed it. Let's try again. Gemini. Oh, no, that's it. Perfect. So what you're going to notice in my Gemini, my screen is too small. There we go. This is my prompt as I prompted it. What I was showing you there before, Gemini is storing all of my past prompts. So you're going to see, we're just going to pop in and see my already created prompts. But this is the, this is actually the Google Doc that Gemini created for me. And I can take this right now and I can export this to a Google Doc and away I go. So that's one of the cool things about using Gemini, like Danny said. I do want to also point out, and I think this is fairly new, Gemini also has this new create feature where if we want to create a web page with these questions, if we want to create an infographic, maybe we want to create a quiz, we can even do an audio overview for each of these. We don't have time to go into all of these features. And again, this is not a Gemini workshop, but just want to point out the added functionality we're starting to see inside our prompting engines. So
I just learned about the quiz feature.
Yeah, awesome.
And I'm like, oh, I have something I want to do as soon as I'm done this recording.
Everything is moving so quickly. And speaking of moving so quickly, those of you that are brand new to AI, I did dive right into Gemini without showing you how to log in, but typically they're fairly straightforward. In Gemini, you're going to log in with your Google account. If you do go with Copilot, same thing. You log in with your Microsoft account. And if you choose to use ChatGPT, same thing as well. So hopefully you're okay. You've got yourself logged in. Feel free to pause at any time. But there's my prompt. I pasted it right in to Gemini, and it right away told me, hey, here's a Google Doc for you. So next one, let's go back to that slide deck, Danny. So back to school, like get to know you activities, that was for grade 10. And now this one, grade 6 science teacher in British Columbia, used the attached PDF to pull curricular concepts from grade 6, create a 10-question fun trivia quiz to get the students excited about what they'll be learning this year. Keep it light and fairly basic. For example, Newton's law of physics could somehow be connected to falling off a skateboard. So this is where we can use the curriculum, like Danny mentioned earlier, as a PDF, we attach that to our prompt and we get even more rich results. Let's jump back over to Gemini, Danny. I want to see what that one looks like. Oh, you know what? That's right. This is an example of, I didn't actually like Gemini's responses. Gemini wasn't really as light and fun as I wanted. So this is an example of where I chose to jump over to ChatGPT. And let's see if I have it here. There it is, grade 6 science quiz. And if we scroll all the way up, there's my prompt. I attached my PDF of the science curriculum right there in my prompt. And then it gave me a pretty cool list with the answers. And then it said, hey, do you want me to change it into a colorful game show style? I said yes, but it actually really wasn't that great. But at least I have my questions there for me. Danny, any suggestions or comments about either of these two activities that we came up with?
I think they're great as like openers for sure. I think getting the bulk of those curricular questions out of the way and supplying the PDF, the more you can like push AI into a corner. It's almost like restricting the AI from thinking too much. So if you're uploading the PDF, it's not going out and guessing what the curriculum is from the website. You're saying like, this is the curriculum, use just this document. I think that's really smart. And then you can spend some time sort of engineering some really like careful questions on your end as the teacher. So like you get sort of the curricular stuff out of the way, but then you can get some sort of like more thoughtful data questions about your students that you've designed yourself in amongst those fun ones where you're like, I don't like number 6. Well, let's just toss number 6 and I'm going to put my own question in there. That's still a big time saver at the end of the day when you've like got your Newton law of physics skateboard question. That's fun. That'll make them giggle. And then you're doing some of the more thoughtful back end work to make sure you're getting all the data you want.
Yep, exactly. Yep. It's sort of a starting place, isn't it?
Totally.
Something else that I want everybody to notice, when you go back to that slide deck, so what we're doing is we're going to pull kind of 1 or 2 highlight ideas, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about them. But you'll also see there's a link to additional prompt ideas. And in particular, it takes you to this Google Doc. Here's a whole bunch more prompts that you can copy paste to give you some ideas for back to school lessons and activities. This document that you go to, it will link to, look at that, all 6 sections that we're going to talk about. We give you a whole bunch of more ideas for each of those categories. So be sure to take a look at that. Let's jump back to the slide deck, Danny.
Oh, where'd my mouse go? There it is.
Perfect. So this is where we want you take a look. Whoops, I may as well go back to the slide. Either use the prompts that we just dove into, go to those additional ideas, spend some time, grab some of those prompts, see what they come up with. And if you decide to come back to this tomorrow, the next day, we'll still be here when you come back, but we're going to let you pause now for however long you like, and then we'll be back with the next theme. And welcome back. Hopefully your prompting was awesome. Hopefully some new ideas were inspired. Next theme, this is class communication. Back to school, we got to be communicating. And in most cases, and this was the biggest something that our facilitators gave was, introduce yourself. So as a teacher, we want to introduce ourselves. This one here is specifically, I'm a grade 3 music teacher. I'm at the Calgary Board of Education. I teach all classes, kindergarten to grade 6. Can you provide an email to parents where I can introduce myself, give a very short overview of what they can expect at all grade levels, and get their students excited about the year? I'll go ahead and show you all what that music teacher email looks like. I was pretty impressed with it. Granted, I am not a grade 6 music or an elementary music teacher, so I need to critically look at what it's saying we're going to be teaching. But of course, if you know that curriculum, you'll be able to assess that. Danny, let's just jump over to my Gemini.
Bless those elementary music teachers.
I know, right? So here's the whole prompt, exactly as it is in the slide deck. And it's not too bad. Hey, my name is Michelle. Be sure, Gemini and any of your chat engines, leave those brackets that you need to fill in information. So absolutely be sure you are looking at these carefully. But it gave a great summary of what to expect. And there we go. Let's make some wonderful music together. So I thought that was a pretty great example of a welcome back letter. Any comments on that one, Danny?
I think it's just one of those things that's like, is that, I always question, like, where does AI fit into my teaching practice and when does it work? Like, this is very formulaic step in your teaching process, right? And you can add your little personal touch, but the general vibe and structure of this email is going to be essentially what an AI will produce, right? So it's giving you that, like, speeding things up, allowing you to spend your time doing your 2 or 3 little customizations, and then away you go. It's just like accelerating that process for something that's going to come out looking the same whether a human or an AI writes it.
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, though, make sure that it sounds like you. I've gotten
100%.
pretty good at my prompting so that I can get things to sound like me. But yeah, just be careful of those formulaic things with maybe emojis that sometimes don't necessarily sound like us. You know what, Danny? Actually, I'd like you to go back just to my screen share if you don't mind. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take a moment now. You can try out that class communication welcome letter if you like. There's also some more really great ideas for back to school communication that are in that Google Doc. So encourage you to definitely check those out. All great suggestions from our facilitator team. And with that, now we can go back to the slide deck. Danny?
One thing I'll add about that is with the parent-facing communications, I've found sometimes, like, it's good, but then, oh wait, it's kind of talking teacher, and like adding like that extra line of be like, this should be a plain language, general public worded document, because Michelle, educators, I love us all, but we do love our acronyms and our jargon and terms like zone of proximal distance and like those types of things. And they'll sneak in if we don't sort of help the model understand that, like, this isn't for more of me. This is for people that aren't me.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Great advice. All right. Well, this again, there's so many prompt ideas. Take a moment to check them out and then come on back when you're ready. Well, welcome back. I'm glad you decided to join us again. Next up, this is relevant and fun materials. This one, actually, I started with when I was preparing this presentation because there is so much that we can do. When we're talking about relevant and fun materials, these are those tangibles. Maybe it's images, maybe it's posters, maybe it's you name it. There's so many things that we can do with AI to create our materials. So the first one we had was, I'm a grade 4 teacher with, this was a suggestion by one of our facilitators. I'm a grade 4 teacher with a class of 22 students. Our room contains rectangular desks with chairs that are detached. Please design an image of a simple classroom layout that promotes collaboration and movement. I'm like, yeah, amazing. So Danny, let's jump back over to my Gemini and we're going to see what Gemini put for this. Classroom. No, I got so many of these. Collaborative classroom layout design. So first thing I did was I put in the prompt exactly as you saw it. And wow, it kind of gave a very cool image that has a lot going on. And so then I re-prompted, can you explain why this setup, why this is set up for collaboration and movement? And then it went through and told me, hey, here's why there's collaboration, there's central access, there's a reading corner, movement. We're thinking about open spaces. So even though your classroom may not look exactly like that picture, wow, we can kind of take the ideas and think about how we might reimagine our space to fit. So I thought that was an awesome question by our team. Any other comments on that one, Danny?
Yeah, you could this is a really fun one. I've never thought of this before. But there's different philosophies of how to build a classroom, right? There's that infographic that went around a few years ago that was really popular about the cave, the watering hole, the campfire. And so you could upload a PDF with those sort of descriptions of those spaces and then be here's a photo of my classroom, here's a PDF, here's the furniture I actually have. Could you design me a classroom that speaks to these spaces in the PDF with the furniture that I actually have access to in my classroom? Because classroom furniture is really expensive. You're not going to get new desks, right? No. But how could you work with what you have and this new philosophy?
Brilliant. Yeah, exactly. And just to make sure, in case, some of you are new to this, if you ever want to include an image or a PDF inside your prompts, that's just this plus button right here. Plus, so we can upload files or take them straight from our drive. And Copilot, ChatGPT work fairly similarly. So just know that exists. We can go back to the slide deck and see. So those are relevant materials. And I kind of like the play of fun materials. So you may have noticed that Danny and I have Muppet pictures when we introduced ourselves. That is 100% AI driven. I found that this one works better in a ChatGPT. I never tried it in Copilot, but yeah, Gemini, when I did do this, had troubles with it. But all this is create a Sesame Street style, realistic looking puppet from the attached image. But think about how you might introduce yourself to your students, especially elementary. Maybe you want to be a Lego character. Maybe you want to be a Minecraft character. I don't know, Danny, what are some other fun ideas where we might...
What do kids like? Roblox is probably a popular thing right now. Minecraft would be a hit. What do kids like right now? I'm at the high school, so
yeah, I know.
Maybe which TikTok star would I turn myself into, right? I don't know.
Exactly. But have fun with it. This is those fun ideas where, just hook your students right out of the gate. We won't flip back to that Google Doc, but definitely check the section in the Google Doc for relevant and fun materials. There's ideas in there for posters. There's a human bingo card. What else do we have? Infographics, comic strips, some just super cool things that might spark some fun back to school activities for you. So with that, again, we are going to give you a moment to play. See you in a bit. And we're back. Hopefully you guys are getting some fun ideas, some inspirations. I had a ton of fun building this presentation with all of the ideas from our team. Let's jump on over to assessments. You know what, Danny, before, I don't know if you actually look closely at the slides, but let's just say if you were to think of kind of what kind of support with assessments will AI help us with, what would be some just big buckets that you might consider?
Anything with sort of static answering, like doing automated marking with a multiple choice scenario, things like that. I've used it for sort of blind reading not blind, but neutral third party reading assessment stuff that's diagnostic in nature, as opposed to thoughtful creative writing feedback or something like that. So I personally would never like to correct a comma or a period ever again in my life, because that's very mechanical. I want to talk to kids about ideas and structure and those types of things. So if I can get assessment accelerated on the mechanical end so that I can spend my time on the thinking end, that's where I would like to be in my assessment assistant.
Yeah, I like that. And I think when we're talking about assessment assistant, not only can it help us when it comes time to assessing the work, it can also help us create those assessments as well. And so you're right, like those quick assessments are pretty easily created in Gen AI for sure. All
The
right.
other one, obviously, that just popped in my brain is like, I talk type a lot. And so, like, if I could use Gemini on my phone and just tell it what the criteria of a rubric is going to be and have it do all the formatting, if I could never format a rubric ever again, that would be wonderful. And
Love
so
it.
if I'm just like, hey, I want to make a rubric that's got 4 categories, here are the categories. It's going to be from 4 to 0, blah, 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 blah. It's going to match the BC curriculum. Make me a rubric. It's my thinking. It's just doing all the layout.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, that's what we're going to talk about on the next slide. But here's an example, a sample prompt where we're creating a quiz. And in this case, it's a grade 8 math teacher wants to assess their knowledge from grade 7. So pull curricular concepts from grade 7. Give me a quick quiz, 5 multiple choice questions, 3 true, false, 2 short answers. And that require the students to explain their thinking. We won't bother going and showing you my results. I was super impressed with what it pulled, but give that prompt a try, see what kind of a quiz that comes up with, and think of other ways you might do that. And Danny, this is the rubric one, and that's so smart that you thought from voice to text, because look at all of this that I had to type.
Yeah.
So yes, creating rubrics, and this one was brilliant. It automatically gave me the rubric layout, pretty cool. Put it into a Google Doc and away you go. So rubrics for sure. Anything else you can think of, Danny, before we set people free to check out all of the other assessment ideas inside that doc?
My Google Classroom user brain was just thinking, I bet I could say format the rubric so that I can import it into Google Classroom as one of their rubrics.
Ooh.
I don't know if that works, but that just popped into my brain. And I bet you could make it work. I bet you could get there.
Isn't that the nature of AI? It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
I wonder if it can. Yep, awesome. A couple of other other topics you'll find on that Google Doc is like analyzing student responses. Like maybe you want to pull out what are the key concepts that students, are providing, keeping in mind I don't put any actual student info inside any of my chat engines, no matter which one I'm using. I have sort of student 1, student 2, student 3 information that I use instead. Let's talk about that maybe, Danny. Just as how do you handle student information when you're using AI?
If I think not just for AI, but any tech stuff, like what is the least amount of information you can disclose to achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve? And so if you start everything from there, you're proactively preventing data. Like if once data goes out, we don't know how it can be used. So let's protect as much data as we can all the time so that it can't be used in a nefarious way. So yeah, I do the student 1, student 2, student 3 thing. Sometimes I'll have like a spreadsheet and then I'll take the parts I want to process out and then I'll just paste them into a new form. Or I'll have a name column in a spreadsheet and then I'll do the student number column beside it. And then I'll paste this sort of the 1/2. And then I can paste the responses back in and it's all ordered still.
Yep.
A bit clunky, but it's
safe.
It's worth it.
Yep. Definitely. All right. Well, lots of ideas in that doc. Take a moment or 10 and just see where you get with testing prompts for assessments. All right. Hopefully you found something awesome. We're going to go on. We have 2 more themes left. I think this one is where we got so much input on this one, and I think it's so incredible that we can now differentiate for our students, either by creating things that are at the reading level of our students, or even assessing a writing to find out, well, what reading level is this appropriate for and why. Any general feedback or thoughts on reading level evaluation, Danny, before we dive into our prompts?
Reading level evaluations are more like I associate that a little bit more with elementary and middle school. My students are doing more like comprehension and stuff, and we definitely use AI for that end of things. But I think like this is actually an example of where AI has been working quietly in the background for years through like the reading assessments in Google Classroom and the Microsoft one that I can't remember the name of, Reading Coach.
Yep.
And different tools like that. Those have sort of been working in the background, and that's AI.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
It totally, exactly. And now we, with our prompt savviness, we can kind of do that ourselves as well. Awesome. As with everything, we've got a bunch of ideas, but this idea came to us from this guy, Danny, is one of his suggestions. And I just thought, this is amazing. So what Danny's suggestion is using the attached grade 5 class profile. He didn't say grade 5, but in any case, this notion that if we have a profile of our students, and then we prompt it to do something. In this case, I said, hey, can you suggest an appropriate fiction book that would be good for all of my students given their class profile? So Danny, you want to jump over to my screen share, and I'll show what Danny inspired me to do. And the links are in that slide deck as well. But basically, this is a table that lists, again, anonymous students, but what are their strengths? What are their stretches? What are their interests? And what are their diagnoses if they have those? So this was randomly generated by AI, but you can imagine your students, you can categorize your students with this information, and then how rich are those assignments, things going to be when you're prompting AI using your class profile? So Danny, I thought that was such a cool idea. Any other comments on this?
Yeah, I mean, everybody at the beginning of the year is going to do a who am I, get to know you activity. Like we even have suggested them in this workshop, right? So you take that, you can put the responses of that into something to organize it, like a Gemini. And then you can pull out those strengths, stretches, and personal interests. You come back as the teacher, like the students aren't going to list their own diagnoses, but you can come back in as the teacher, list the diagnoses. Once you have this template, you can do, suggest a novel for me, but you can also take a lesson plan. Like one of my friends, we were playing hockey the other night, and he's like, asked him how his year was going to set up. And he's like, well, you got to play the hits, right? So, you got to play your greatest hit lesson plans. But with this document, what it allows you to do is then take the hit, throw your lesson plan in Gemini, attach your class profile, and be like, what are the things I'm going to need to differentiate for students 1 through 14 or 1 through 23? And it's going to say, hey, student 14 is going to need a scaffolded graphic organizer. Let me make that for you. And you're accounting for all the different individual needs in the classroom, while you still get to play the lesson plan that is you get to play the hits. You get to play your Billboard #1.
Yeah, I love this so much. I do want to jump over and show these book recommendations. I was so impressed. All I used the plus to add for my Google Drive that doc that you just saw. And it gave me not only the book recommendations, but the why behind it. Hey, this student might relate to this book. This student, might need a little bit, it's got more vocabulary. So, it would be more appropriate for them. But yeah, I loved that you gave us that idea, Danny. Very, very, very cool. Sweetness.
There's some good books in there.
Yeah, no
The
kidding.
librarian in me says there's some good choices in there.
Let's jump back to the slide deck. Again, inside the that doc, there's a whole bunch more ideas just when we're talking about reading evaluation. So be sure to check out the other prompts. Take some time. Take my class profile as well if you want to just play with that, make a copy, but just see kind of the power of what we might be able to achieve to help differentiate for our students. So with that, we'll give you a few minutes. Have fun. All right, we are back. If you've sat here and you have been in a full sitting and you're doing all of this with us, amazing. Thank you. If you've spread this out over a couple days, still amazing. Thank you. We are on to our last topic. I sort of get excited about all of them, but I got pretty excited about this one when I was planning and with some of the ideas that were given to us. So insightful summaries is this idea that we can take a lot of information and narrow it down to summarize key points for us. It's so beneficial. One of the ideas that came up from our team, using the attached calendar, provide a summary of the special days based on the legend found at the top. So I believe it was TDSB's calendar. It's a PDF document, and it summarized that for me. Yeah, I don't think we need to show my prompt. I was just super impressed that I could take a graphic of a calendar that has a whole bunch of different letters denoting a whole bunch of different holidays and days off, and it spat out for me, oh, hey, here's all the religious holidays. Here's all the PD days, etc. So I was pretty pleased with that. Mm-hmm. Any similar thoughts or inspirations from that one, Danny?
AI is really helpful when you get those emails that have flat PDFs when there's no text, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where you can't copy and paste the text. So last summer, I did exactly what you just did with like my school's calendar. It was a flat PDF. I couldn't copy the text. I actually gave the PDF to, it might have been ChatGPT. No, it was Copilot. And I said, can you take all the dates on this calendar and make me an ICS file for Outlook to add them all to my calendar for the school year?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
That just like, if you don't know ICS files, yeah, those are the Outlook import
calendar invites.
You can import it into a Google Calendar. I never even thought to do that. I can go back now and reprompt. Okay, can you create an ICS file for me?
And it made some mistakes. Like Thanksgiving was 3 days long, which I was like, hey boss, the AI doesn't lie. Like we should have a 3-day here. But like I would rather shorten one appointment than manually add 25.
Exactly. Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Love it. Great tip. And then this next one, same thing. It's talking about a big PDF. In this case, the example, can you provide a concise summary of the attached school improvement plan? Or think of like any of those, district documents you might have. Also provide key features and ways that I, as a grade 2 art teacher, can help. So help me understand our school improvement plan and help me know what things I can be doing in my practice to follow this. So I thought that was another great suggestion from our team. Anything else that jumps out before we set people free to check out some other ideas?
I think that you're keying in on something really good there. Like the strategic plan documents are very dense and also they're not school specific either, right? So what if you took something like a school district strategic plan, and then every school's got, in BC we've got like FSA data and we've got the middle years development index data. What if you just throw all that info together and you'd be like, can you take these goals and this data and sort of give us a third-party blind evaluation? How are we doing right now? Yeah. And where would you see areas of growth? Because the staff's going to do that too, but the staff are also like, we're biased. We know the kids, we know their story. Like where's the third party eyes that become one of 20 opinions instead of the 19 opinions of just the people that work there.
Yeah.
And it's a nice way to also process a ton of data, like, FSA and MDI and all those data measures in BC, at least, like those are also very dense documents that are just like spreadsheets of numbers. And it's like, what are our trends? Or here's 5 years of SSA data. Or how are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. So powerful. So what you're going to find as well in the doc, insightful summaries. How about all of those Google Forms or Microsoft Forms that we collect? And so for us, it's feedback forms, right? I can take all of that feedback and put it into my AI engine and get a sense for, people say that they need more time. People say that the sessions were a little bit fast. People say it was great information, but gives that summary of large bits of data that come out from our forms. What are some examples of forms, maybe Danny, that you've or could pull data into a summary?
The school's ordering pizza.
Oh,
Summarize our order to call Panago.
oh my goodness. Amazing.
There are 8 slices per pizza. How many pizzas do we need? Here's the school totals. Like the form's going to total it up, and you're going to need that individual data to hand out the pizza. But like, somebody do the pizza math for me. We've got 247 slices of pepperoni. How many pepperonis do I need?
That's great. That's awesome. Love it. And I love that it's just like, okay, I put you on the spot. There you go. All right. Well, those of you out there, whole bunch more ideas over in that doc. Take some time, figure out how you can simplify and summarize lots of data. Ready, set, go. And we are almost done. Again, hopefully you found some awesome ideas. I know I certainly enjoyed testing out all of the different ideas. Key takeaways, if you just remember a few things, those 6 themes from the course are just great to think about all of the cool stuff we can do as educators. Don't forget P.A.R.T.S, of course, that human in the loop pasting and prompting and pasting is a problem. Don't forget to check with your board about what the guidelines are there. Be safe. And most importantly, check out that course. If you have not really spent time diving into the prompts in that course, even more inspiration will come from there. Again, we thank you, Sandy Curry and Google Canada, for all of your support and the work we do. And now, do you think you might want a custom virtual workshop for your district? Basically what we can do, and it may even be me and Danny, but we can take information that you want to support your staff with and customize it for your district. Similar, Danny, those plans that you were talking about, we could show your staff, how to do some things that are appropriate for you. So pass on this information to someone at the district level. There are only 20 spots available. And so if you want to get in on some pretty great professional development, I may be biased, but I think it's pretty great. Definitely check that out. And hopefully we'll be able to come and see you at your school or district. We do love to hear your feedback. Please take a moment, even 30 seconds, but just give us just a little bit of feedback on how you think we did today, how we can be better. Definitely Sandy appreciates the feedback as well. So take a moment to do that. And if you have any questions whatsoever, events@logixacademy.com. We are there. We are real humans answering our emails, and we will get back to you with any questions you might have. So don't hesitate to reach out to us there. With that, Danny, any final words from you?
No, I thought it was lots of fun and lots of good info. And the course itself is I would highly recommend people take it because it's just a nice, thoughtful way to get to know it. And even if you're one of the people that's like, I'm not a big AI person, I think you need to be involved in the conversations that are happening in schools about AI. And the only way to really have those conversations is to do some mindful playing and actually really digging into what it can do and what it can't do.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Well, with that, Danny, thank you so much for being here. Always appreciate all of your insights. And thanks all of you that have hung out with us. And yeah, happy back to school, everyone. Have a great day.